We'll go around in our usual order. Locals first, up to 2 each, and take any other questions afterwards. Graham, when you're ready.
Strange sort of a game played, and it doesn't quite relate to what we've seen for so much of the season. What did it go on to?
Yes, first of all, I have to say congratulations, obviously, to West Ham. It's always a sad day when a club with so many years on the top flight goes down, and you could feel it in the stadium. Was a bit strange atmosphere, obviously, today. Yes, for us, of course, we wanted to finish the season, fantastic season, with a better result. There's no doubt about this. I think it's fair to say today that it was probably one game too many without too many key players. So in the last weeks, we have always found a solution somehow, so like to grind out a performance and a really good result. Not today. I think first half was okay. We were a bit indecisive in front of the goal. We had good situation in the first half, and normally should have gone into lead and perhaps even to put the game to bed already. Second half, where then stop in possession and not focus, concentrate. All the goals were a bit like unnecessary loss of the ball, counter attack, and then either it was straight away a goal like the 2-0 of Jarrod, or it was more or less like we could clear in the last moment to a corner, and then the corner was in. So in possession we were by far not at our best today. I think you could feel that several key players missing, and also several key players in the last weeks, like Dominic, for example, have missed many training sessions with some slight problems. It was difficult. It doesn't take anything away that the boys have played a fantastic season, but of course would have wished for a better final game, better outcome. Doesn't change anything in the bigger picture, if I'm honest. But the first minutes after a loss, you are still disappointed, yes.
Today, maybe underline your recent point that getting more individual quality has to be a priority.
Yes, of course, but I wouldn't interpret too much into the future. It's more like to use such a game to say, I've told you something like this. I think it's just normal as a promoted side. You don't win on this level 1 point just due to individual quality. So we had to make sure that our fitness level is outstanding, that we are flexible in our approach, that we have great fighting spirit, great togetherness, great focus in each every game. This is what we've shown during the whole season. We're very versatile and flexible. Sometimes we've played different base formations with and without the ball. We've changed it from game to game. This is what you have to do if you can't win just due to individual quality. Yes, of course, key players were missing today. Gabi Gudmundsson, Noah Okafor, Anton Stach, Sean Longstaff, Ilya Gruev. A few players also just came back after injury, like Jaden Bogle or Pascal Stoik, or were struggling also with minor issues during the week. That's also why Dominic shouldn't play 90 minutes today. Also key player for us. And in the end, that was then, of course, a bit missing in the final stages of the game. Again, doesn't change anything during this season. We will travel back home, and once this disappointment have settled, then in about 1 hour we look back on a fantastic season and are just proud of what we have achieved. And then we speak about what is necessary to do. Yes, you could interpret, if you want, something into this, that you also have to be competitive once 4, 5 or 6 key players are not there. Yes, but I don't want to use this just like more or less like, okay, I've told you before. I'm just super happy with my group, and apart from the result today, they've played a really fantastic season.
Is it?
I mean, given how well your players have played this season, and you might potentially get some offers for your key players, how important is it you keep the core of your squad for next season?
Yes, overall for promoted sides, it's in general always important that you use a very successful first season back to build on it, to make sure that you keep your best players and you also improve the squad, because second year is very often also difficult once the aphorism of promotion is a bit away. We've also seen this with several sides. We have seen this a few years ago with ourselves, with Leeds United, but also with other teams who had this experience in recent years. And for that, it's definitely something we have to speak about, but not right now, because this season has cost so much energy. Just happy that right now we can go home and can recharge a little bit, and everyone needs a bit downtime also, like to to recharge, and then with fresh energy to build on this again. So I think it's fair to say that everyone who's connected with Leeds United can look into a bright future because the foundations are there right now. We have played a really, really solid and really, really good season by our standards, finished on position 40, game days to go, already safe, unbeaten runs of 7, unbeaten runs of 8 lately in the league, against teams like Liverpool, Chelsea, Man United, unbeaten, FA Cup run in addition to that. So couldn't be much better if I'm honest. But yes, it's a task and a responsibility of all of us right now also to build on it. And this is what we will do. But right now, instead of speaking too early about what will be, it's also important to recharge and to be proud of what we have achieved.
Yeah, I was going to ask actually, do you expect to speak to Prague before you go on your about future plans before you go away for your break, or is that something for
Yes, we are safe since a few game days, and we have started to speak about the future. And of course, this will continue also like in the upcoming days and weeks. But right now, it's also important, right, to take a bit of time to recharge and then to go with fresh energy in order to plan on the future. But more or less since survival is confirmed, we have of course also already started the work to make the right decisions also for the future of Leeds United. Yes.
Stuart.
Daniel, just talked to Brenden Aaronson and you said how disappointed the change room was. In a strange kind of a way, does that give you a lot of satisfaction when in a, to quote, meaningless game? That is the response from the group.
Yes, and I want this attitude. I don't like this old school attitude. You have achieved all your goals right now. You just make sure that no one gets injured anyhow before the holiday. So I want this attitude, and this is the only attitude that my lads know, and they are always disappointed, even if you lose a training game, and you should be close to cry. And this is more or less like how you make sure that you survive as a promoted side or as a side who can't be successful just because of individual quality. This is the mentality and the culture that we have instilled in this group. And if anyone would be in the dressing room not disappointed with a loss in the final game of the season, he wouldn't be the right player for Leeds United, because if you put the shirt on, you have a great responsibility and you have all to play for, not just like to achieve survival. Even after survival is achieved, even friendly or whatever, we always have the responsibility to represent this club in the best possible way. And I have no doubt that this is the mentality in the dressing room. But one thing is also for sure, from under this second half, we won't dwell under it for the future. That's also for sure.
And I mean, given what you always say about not wrapping players up in cotton wool, I guess there was never any sort of hesitation about playing it. Brendan's the only player possibly in the World Cup from in this match.
Sorry?
Given what you said about not wrapping players up in cotton,
Yeah.
I guess there was never any hesitation about not playing Brenden, for example, in the World Cup from.
No, World Cup is, they can concentrate on the World Cup from tomorrow onwards. And so there was no resting or something like this. So bread and butter is always a club, and the club pays the salary. And for that, you better concentrate on the club and not on national teams. This is what I expect. And as long as I'm in charge, and for Leeds United, I will always expect this. So for that, no resting for the World Cup. It was always clear that he would play, yes.
Yep.
And Daniel, just for you personally, how much does it mean to actually keep Leeds in the Premier League, considering the two difficult campaigns you had with Norwich 5 years ago?
Yes, a few years ago at a difficult campaign with Norwich, once we went up with a team who was not even good enough in order to went up, and we decided as a club not to spend any money, and was always written in the stars, so it was not a surprise that we would go down. Don't overtake this responsibility for the second year, because with different thoughts, and was not even 25% of the campaign in charge. Was a different scenario right now, because we spoke about how big of a club Leeds United is, how huge a potential is, how huge a potential of the city, of the fan base is, and was always a plan after promotion to make sure that we break the curse of the teams in the recent years who have gone up in order to get promoted, and many of them have also spent lots of money. We have perhaps spent a bit less, but we want a different outcome. We want to stay in this league, and also together also with Sunderland, both have broken the curse of the new promoted sides, and for that we are very, very proud of this. And of course, a big achievement because this club in the last 25 years is just promoted twice into the Premier League, and it was just a second really good season. A few years ago, under promotion under Marcelo, there was one really good season. This was probably the second really good season for this club, and it's a big achievement for us. So for that, we all are proud of this and something to build on.
I was actually just about to say, like, you've so convincingly survived in the Premier League and Sunderland getting into Europa League. Sends a great message to the rest of the football pyramids that actually the Premier League's not a closed shop, doesn't it?
I think it's important also for the Premier League that you don't have the feeling it's more or less like cemented like in other sports sometimes abroad anyhow, that there is no competition. I think for the Premier League it's definitely a good sign, and yeah, once you have a club with the history of Leeds United, more or less, and to have such a big club with such a huge fan base in the top flight, I think it's beneficial for English football. So for that, fingers crossed that West Ham can also come back soon on this level. But I think the Premier League is definitely a better spot with Leeds United, and hope that West Ham will also head into better times again.
Anybody else? Thank you very much. Have a great summer.
Thanks a lot. Thank you. Such a nice. See you soon. Thank you. Thank you.